So it is tight.
It's very tight. It's been a very gloomy experience, for the nominee, for the public, for the senators, for the administration. I think we need just to get past this as quickly as possible.
I wrote a lot of emails. The only response I got back was from new Senator Breen Harimoto, who said a very firm no, even though he was being prevailed upon to change his mind.
Yeah, I've actually been very impressed with Senator Harimoto's service as a senator. He's a principled person.
He is. He was principled. He was so principled on the city council that he had to leave.
Well, tell me, what?
Mitsuko's laughing. She understands.
What did he do on the city council?
No, he was one of the few people that was very firmly against the criminalization of homelessness
The
bill.
sit-lie ban,
and voting always against the
I appreciate
most
some of
of
his
the
comments. I couldn't attend those hearings, but I read some of his comments and I thought they were spot on.
and a lot of his videos are on my YouTube channel.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Thanks, Marty. Mitsuko, you have anything to say? Any prognostic?
Wearing a red shirt.
I thanks for telling people I am wearing a red shirt. I kept it in the trunk, put it on after work. It must be important. Ed Greavy's here. Ed Greavy's documented all the important stuff. And I'm giving him a chance to get me too. So there we go. Anyone want to say? Oh, and there's Will Caron. I am one of the few people that know how to pronounce his name. Caron.
Yeah, you and Bart in the same picture.
Oh, very good. That's Evan. Nice seeing you, Evan Tector, for your friends on Facebook who have never seen you. This is almost in real life.
I actually exist. Occasionally come out of the valley. Sometimes clean up.
You're not wearing a red shirt. Does that mean you're for the nomination?
No, as a photographer, I need to appear neutral so I can get better shots. So if you blend in everywhere, sometimes you get shots you couldn't otherwise. So.
I just got here. Anything? Any comment you want to make?
Well, if you read the tea leaves at this point, after a fairly long recess, Mr. Ching's supporters left the gallery.
There's a big hole.
The governor's people left the gallery, supposedly went up to the 5th floor. If I had to guess, I'd say that there were insufficient votes in the Senate.
So they're going to withdraw?
So they're waiting for the governor to withdraw the nomination.
Oh, that would be so cool. Rather than a bitter showdown with people pissed off like crazy and shouting things like 1, 2, 3, 4, you're just another corporate whore and stuff like that.
Yes.
I made that up.
Well, you should be a sloganeer there, Doug.
Some people accuse me of that.
Yeah. I'm surprised it got to this stage, though. There were at least, I think, 9, maybe 10 confirmed no votes, and a whole bunch, another 10 or 11 undecided. So it seems really close, and it was a stretch that they were going to get a yes here, I think. So, but now we won't know. The Senate gets a little bit off the hook. We won't know what the individual senators stood for on the issue, although we do know, as I say, like about 9 or 10.
Actually, for Ige, it would kind of be a smart thing to do to withdraw and not force the vote.
Well, the Senate may insist that. The governor could, of course, continue and force a vote.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem to be in the cards at this point. The real question is, why did the governor push it as far as he did, and who in his staff and in his administration or amongst his advisors got him to this point and got him to triple down on a really bad nomination?
Yeah.
And then the next question will be, what process will he go through in order to find an actually qualified, conservation-aligned director for the DLNR? Maybe, Robert Harris or Harry Kim or Nainoa Thompson or some of the names I've seen kind of kicked out there. But the governor should be really questioning the advice he got and who put him on this path. I know David.
That's a good.
He's a reasonable guy, so there must be some influence that got him to this point. So
That's having an impact, actually, a big impact on Ige himself, on his popularity.
it really has, I think, expended a lot of his potential, honeymoon and whatnot.
boy.
People are really going to be paying attention to what all of his nominees do now. Some of the other nominees were pretty corporately oriented as well.
Well, the deputy director of DLNR,
He may be problematic too.
that replaced William Tam, who practically wrote the water code.
Yes. So questionable corporate influences in government need to be rooted out. Public interest is not private corporate interest, and you
Right.
can't run government as a business. And it's time to really reverse the paradigm. We need to do really drastic, transformative things that preserve what's left, not eternally compromise ourselves into no more fish, no more land, no
Right,
more water. We
right.
already did that. We spent
Right.
the capital of the next generations. It's time to reverse that completely.
Terrific. Hey, thanks, Evan. Evan
Shoot.
Tector. Let's see. Will, you have anything to say? You're always getting comments from people.
Yeah, let's see. Well, I think Mike McCartney was just here. Looked like he handed something to the Senate
Oh.
clerk, so.
Oh, you're sharp eyes. Yeah, I took my glasses off to be able to
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think he probably will, actually, honestly.
We will see. Bianca, you have anything you want to say? You're live on the
We're always
internet.
live streaming, Doug. I can't always get away from a computer, and I didn't this time either, so it's always great. But I guess I would point out that most of the people that I know were supporting the nomination are no longer an audience, so they might know
Yeah.
something that we will so soon know as well.
Right. They were sitting in that puka right there. Thanks for being here. Okay, now this is also being live streamed on Olelo. Thank you, Olelo Channel 49. They don't cover the recesses, so actually during the recesses is where I get to do stuff and talk to people. And that was Ed Greavy. Yeah, there he is with his camera. He's now taking video also. It's getting quiet. Okay, we're coming back here. Excuse me. Squeeze in here. We're about to reconvene.
room-only gallery, that the public would benefit of listening to our arguments, pro and con, on this governor's nomination. That has now been taken away. You know, we have several bills before this session of the legislature that have to do with bullying. I think what's transpired during the past week has been a good example of bullying and political pragmatism. I can speak about this because, as you know, I'm not part of any of the clubs that take place in the Senate. Heck, I wasn't even invited into the majority caucus. But I think that we're basing our decisions on politics and our electability rather than on what's right or what's wrong and what we should do. And in the process, we have further blurred the lines between separation of powers between the executive branch and the legislative branch. And we have besmirched the character of a good individual in this community. And I know, as I said last Thursday at the conclusion of the Waterland confirmation hearing, everyone had an opportunity and was encouraged to give their thoughts and to continue to talk to their legislators. And I received an awful lot of communications myself. And I tried to talk to everyone that I could, and I did talk to a lot of people, except for those people that called in with anonymous threats, rudeness, and foul language, who neglected to leave their names. Now, I don't ascribe them to any group or any support or opposition. But I'm afraid that in this community, we are having less open discussion. And while we talk about transparency, we have less transparency. I think that the public should demand more of us, not just on these controversial nominations. And by the way, for some people that thought this was the most controversial nominee, he was not. We've had very serious controversies before, but we always managed to discuss them openly. And I'm sorry that we didn't do that on this occasion. So the report will be filed, the governor has withdrawn, and we lose an opportunity, as the governor had said, to get a fresh pair of eyes. There are problems with this department, and those people that did not like the nominee should look and focus their attention on some of the things that this department has done and has not done. And believe me, it has nothing to do with taking away usual and customary practices or things that are important to the host culture or historic preservation. It has to do with simple things like what they've done with land that they are supposed to manage for all people in Hawaii. They have not done a good job. And we have this idea of putting people in because of a popularity contest, not because of the job that they can do. Well, we'll never know what can be done. And like the woman that I talked to from Kauai yesterday who said she really disliked the nominee because she dislikes his house. His house overlooks the ocean. And she disliked the lei that he was wearing on the day of the confirmation. Too few people go that extra mile to find out about either the nominee or about the issues. And I think that's really a shame. I think many more of us should uphold our responsibility to not only do due diligence, but to be independent of mind and thought, and to let the political chips fall where they may in doing the right thing. And so in this case, Madam President, we have a report. We have a lot of people that are very happy. And we escaped the idea of going on record and making statements and having a vote. And for that, I'm truly sorry. Thank you.
Further discussion, members. Senator Inoue.
Madam President,
Please proceed.
a point of personal privilege, please.
Please proceed.
I support my colleague from Hawai'i Kai, and though I did not have a chance to read my presentation today, but I will, because for those naysayers that are here today, I will support the man that I thought would be the right person for the right job, and I continue. I stand before this body to offer a brief history of 40 years in which I have witnessed for and had direct involvement issues relevant to the Department of Land and Natural Resources. In Mr. Ching's leadership, I see hope and the need for change, so desperately needed by the people of my district and my island. In 1967, I entered into a career in the hotel industry at the Orchid Island Hotel on Banyan Drive. It was the most beautiful boutique hotel built by Californian George Hacker, who was ahead of his time. At that point, no one had heard of the word boutique before in reference to a hotel. He expanded his presence in the east side of Hawaii Island, building a subdivision in Lower Puna called Hawaiian Beaches. With its own private water well, he was able to provide low-cost residential housing for hotel employees and others who took advantage of an opportunity to own a home on fee simple land. He also invested in a small 2-story condominium project on land across from the hotel, now bordered by industrial activity, and offered first option to the employees and then availability to the public. With visitor activity thriving in Hilo, the hotels were close to 100% occupancy most of the time. Having only 100 rooms wasn't enough to sustain the increased visitor volume, and an opportunity became available on adjacent lands now known as Banyan Golf Course. I was part of the team selected to plan and design the extension of the hotel, which included acquiring the golf course. Mr. Hacker had a vision for this property, a Hawaiian cultural park similar to the Polynesian Cultural Center, to enhance the activities of the Merry Monarch Festival and to create a showplace like the Waikiki Shell and a large luau area for Kama'aina, visitors, and our Hawaiian people. We were so proud of this Californian who created jobs and invested in the economy of the island. Going to the DLNR hearings on Oahu, where the bidding began, we were all supporting him. The politics at that time were such that the awards went to someone who knew someone. The land lease was awarded to a person with no history in the visitor industry. It's one of the blights on Banyan Drive you see today. Several years later, another parcel became available, with that lease going to an Oahu investor who built an apartment building, another poor use of prime land. The travel lodge and other business relied upon for additional overflow rooms went on the market, reopening the lease on state land. Again, a former member of the Board of Land and Natural Resources won the bid, and today is one of the troubling lessees, a responsibility falling on the shoulders of the present director and the governor. In February, the Hawaii Board of Land and Natural Resources approved a pair of lease extension for Uncle Billy's Hilo Hotel and the Country Club condominiums. The leases were set to expire on March 14th of this year. The extensions allowed the Banyan Drive leases to remain in effect for 1 more year. After that, the leases will revert to month revocable permits. Longer extensions were not up for consideration because the DLNR is in the midst of assessing whether the lands should be redeveloped. The Country Club is one of the blights, riddled with financial problems, escalating discussions between the leaseholder and the condo association. In December of 2014, the board denied a 15-year extension for Reeds Bay Resort Hotel, instead giving the business a 1 more year extension. And this is the property I spoke of earlier that was adjacent to the Orchid Island Hotel. I was elected as senator in 1998 as one of the 7 newest members of the Senate. Along with my House colleague, former Representative Jerry Chang, I was asked to assist hotel properties who were pending lease expirations with DLNR, and these included the Hilo Hawaiian and the Naniloa Hotel, both located on Banyan Drive. Our first years as intermediaries were a struggle, but eventually we were able to get the department to move forward. So what does this have to do with the nominee, Carleton Ching? I believe he is hope. He brings a new perspective to the department and will have the clear vision and openness needed for this position. He will take control, along with the governor, assessing how to change the management of state leases and the negative climate that looms over the land division. Recently, I was called by another group of constituents in the Kainoilihua industrial area, many on the long-term leases. They have no idea when the DLNR will handle this, though I understand there are on 10 lease options. Being small businesses surviving the economic decline in the past decade, they were not committed to making improvements to their infrastructure and buildings until such time as they guarantee a long-term lease renewal. Small businesses like my dear friends Don and Kathy O'Reilly, who own a small mom-and-pop print shop, want to stay in business. Their home is in the district of the good senator of Puna at Volcano, and they ask, please help us. We can't afford the kinds of increases the agency is requiring. It will kill us, and we will have to close. Now remember the date of early 2000. Don also tells me next door to him, the Mauna Kea Infrared Company. This company also is on the lease expiration. They put $300,000 in their improvement. The company builds astronomy equipment for parts for the telescope of Mauna Kea. They were ordered, with the advice from our AGs as well, that they need to put more into the building, and you will get another 10-year extension. Don goes to say they were asked to put $100,000 into their mom and pop little business. These are the kind of stories I hear. The lease agreements are still pending for the many in the KIAA Association that I speak of. The relocation of these buildings that were devastated by the 1960 tidal wave. A suit was filed in court of years ago regarding the lease negotiations that were still pending in the leases. And while the DLNR lost, businesses were given only a 10-year window of extension. Who could afford to stay in business? The demand that those folks hire appraisers or go into arbitration, with the state doing the same, is the cruelest thing I have heard. And let me say, the agreement is that you hire a mediator, you hire an appraiser, but the DLNR did not tell them that the state will also hire an appraiser. And I spoke with a company just this morning. The demands that the state, that the lessee pays the appraiser fee that the state hired. They hired the most expensive appraiser in this state. The cost to everyone individually is $5,000. So aside from the demand of DLNR, you have an increase in your lease, you have a 10-year extension, and you make improvements.
Senator Green.
Madam President,
Excuse
may I
me.
just respectfully ask for a clarification? I wanted to know whether we were in the motion or another.
We are in discussion regarding the filing of this measure. So, Senator Noah, if you can contain your remarks to the filing of this measure.
All right. I just wanted to say, in addition to my colleague from Hawai'i Kai, why I support the nominee, Madam President.
Thank you.
And the illness that goes beyond, I think we need to stop this crazy cancer that's in the division of DLNR. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Members, at this time, the chair will entertain any remarks that you would like to put into the journal. So if there is a show of hands of anyone who would like to put remarks, Senator Nishihara.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise as a point of personal privilege.
Personal privilege will come after. Are you speaking to the motion?
Okay, thank you.
Or the filing? Do you have remarks you would like to put into the journal?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so ordered. Senator Ihara. Any further discussion, members? If not, all those in favor of filing this governor's message, say aye. All opposed, no. The motion is carried. The clerk is directed to file Standing Committee Report number 913 and place the same in the journal. Madam Clerk.
Referrals and re-referrals.
They are made in accordance with the supplemental order of the day, which may be distributed to your offices later this afternoon.
No further business, Madam President.
Are there any announcements today? Senator Nishihara.
Thank you. I guess it's the right time now.
Yes.
I'd like to rise on the point of personal privilege.
Please proceed.
I'd like to ask that the comments of the senator from Hawai'i Kai be entered as if it were my own. Thank you.
So ordered. Further announcement. Senator Kidani.
Thank you, Madam President and colleagues. I hope you are all familiar with the REACH After School Enrichment Program.
To what purpose do you rise?
I'm sorry. You asked for announcements?
Personal privilege? Or announcements?
Announcements.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. REACH is an acronym for Resources for Enrichment, Arts, Culture, and Health, a pilot program launched by Lieutenant Governor Shan Tsutsui that now involves students from 16 public, intermediate, and middle schools statewide. Tomorrow we will have the opportunity to meet REACH participants from 3 Oahu schools, Jarrett Middle School, Waialua High and Intermediate, and Kahuku High and Intermediate, who will be displaying some of their projects and performing a band concert and a musical theater production in the Rotunda. I hope you will find time to check them out beginning at 1:15 and continuing until 3:15 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. The REACH students will also be in the gallery with us tomorrow. On the floor, we will be recognizing principals, teachers, and librarians for excellence in their respective schools. Madam President and colleagues, thank you all for your participation in this year's Education Week events. Mahalo.
Thank you, Senator Kidani. Senator English.
Madam President, point of personal privilege.
Please proceed.
Members, today marks a historic day in the Senate. On this 30th day of our session, I'd like to bring your attention to the order of the day. Today, the Senate goes bilingual, and now we will now be including Hawaiian as well as English in all of our orders of the day.
To stay out of political
Sure.
Okay. Or as an individual, I'll say.
Okay. Your comments on what just happened.
I think it was fairly obvious that the Ching nomination lacked sufficient votes. I think the vote indicated that it was not going to be 13-12. It was going to be more against Ching.
Than that. Yeah.
And so the governor, all the governor's people went up to the 5th floor, and then senators started smiling and being very happy, and that was an indication that they were not going to do something divisive. So I think this is a victory for now, but I think we need to be careful and to watch for future actions.
Great. You have any comments on the other nominees? The deputy director is also
not at this time.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Henry. Okay, that is very interesting. Good one.
The voice of the people.
The voice of the people, I tell you.
The voice of the people prevailed.
And that's a nice red shirt too.
Oh, you already know. That's God's kingdom.
That's the kingdom shirt. That's it.
Right, the voice of the people.
Thank you, brother. Okay. Good one. So here are a bunch of there as well. That was interesting. I timed it right.
Yeah,
You didn't have
nice.
to cut to the June James and Barbara Polk, Common Cause. I think we bumped into. Hey, June. Nice seeing you. You want to say something? You're live on the internet, and you're always videoing other people.
We're happy that the governor has found it appropriate to collaborate with the people. After all, this is only one of 39 nominations.
That's a good point.
And Mr. Ching is a very acute businessman, very great businessman, but the purpose of the DLNR is not development or real estate development, it's to preserve. And so he really is a round peg in a square hole, or square hole in a round peg.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, it's unfortunate that the governor has not collaborated with the people early on. So, but congratulations to all the educated citizens. I was a little bit taken back when Senator Slam Sloan said that there is bullying. How could it be bullying when it is the huge political machine and a big
That's
government
right.
against the
That's-
everyman.
It was the everyman that came out.
Yes, you know, so I think he's misguided in those thoughts and remarks.
Great. Thanks for always being here and videoing everything and creating a record.
We try.
Thank you.
Apparently there's going to be a press conference in the
Oh,
governor's
there's
office
a
at 1:30.
1:30. Cool. Thanks, Will. Yeah, we'll try and cover that. There'll be a press conference at 1:30 in the governor's office upstairs. So, guess what?
Anything exciting happening there that I missed?
Will said that there's going to be a press conference at 1:30 in the governor's office.
In the governor's office?
Yeah, upstairs.
You gonna go?
I think I might try and do this.
I've run out of change and I've got 15 minutes more on my meter.
You gotta go. I go to Ali'i, the parking.
Ali'i?
Yeah, the one right on. I guess it's Bethel, right up by Mandalay Restaurant. There used to be it's a municipal lot, and you pay when you go out. It's fairly cheap. It's not really.
That's not the building with the big round circle in it?
No.
Driveway?
No, it's right across from District Court. Hey, Arvid.
Oh, wow, I was the only one left in there listening.
It wasn't very. That last speech was bizarre. What was her
I was
name?
out here.
Oh, she was like giving her supporting testimony, even though it had been withdrawn for Carleton.
Support for the nominee?
Yeah.
Who was
After.
who's testifying?
I forget her name. Female.
Well, she's looking for brownie points.
Yeah, I think so. Crazy.
I think it's a big mistake, though, so early in his tenure to pick such an obvious. I mean, you don't even have to know the guy.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Yeah.
But his background is just all wrong.
Yeah, as a lobbyist for a Big Five, it's crazy. I'm wondering, I think maybe I'll cut away, and then I'll cut back in at 1:30 press conference. Let's
The
see.
governor's office.
Oh, maybe I
been
can.
here. I haven't been inside this place in 20 years. It's still upstairs.
Yep, still upstairs. Maybe I'll see you there.
Okay.
All right. Nice. Let me see if I can piggyback on interviews here.
Hope you can use that.
TV, getting the TV interviews. TV has these things on tripods. We have Guerrilla Video guys have. Oh, there's Walter Riddy. Let's go see if we can get piggyback on that. Too far away to get any. I can't get the sound, so I'm going to back away. Okay, I'm going to cut away and then come back at 1:30. If you're just tuning in, this is what happened. There was a hearing in the Senate for confirmation of the governor's nominee for the director of the Department of Land and Natural Resources, Carleton Ching. Very controversial because Ching is a lobbyist for a land developer, and not just any land developer, but a Big Five land developer. Big Five meaning one of those sugar barons that supported the overthrow of the Hawaiian nation back in 1893. He would be in charge of preserving land as well as the 1.8 million acres of Royal Hawaiian land, ceded land, or seized land as it's sometimes called. It was going to be a tight vote. The Senate Water and Land Committee that advises the Senate did not endorse Carleton Ching in a 5-2 vote. The governor thought he would have. Hey, Walter. You want to say anything to people? You're live on the internet.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Oh,
talking to
still here.
Walter
Hey.
Riddy.
We're still here. Came from Molokai. Our resources, it's a matter of